up to date with all this new technology. I want to thank Professor Wing for inviting me here. I was here not long ago, at the beginning of this year, and I guess my one disappointment in coming back is that your volcano was still erupting. That was, for somebody who lives in a country with no volcanoes, it was quite exciting. But I'm very happy to be back. I like it. I like this part of the Philippines very much. Okay. Now, I was down, Professor Wing suggested that I talk about the ethics of new technologies. I thought, given that this was a training workshop on peace, I would look at some issues to do with ethics of new technology related to peace. And I looked at, or I tried to find as much literature as I could to see what had been written on technology and peace. And I guess you wouldn't be surprised to realise that there's a lot more on technology and war than there is on technology and peace. But there are a few things I came across, and I think there are some useful things that we can talk about from an ethical point of view with new technologies and peace. The technologies that I want to look at briefly are artificial intelligence, which is a hot topic. I don't know whether it is in the Philippines, but it certainly is at home, and there's a lot of reports on it in various newspapers, magazines and journals and so. It was a hot topic sort of when I started out first. In the 1970s and 80s, people were talking about artificial intelligence a lot. It didn't seem to get anywhere very much for a long time, although there was a lot going on behind the scenes. But now, just in recent years, again, there's been a lot of discussion because the computer power has become much greater. People develop new algorithms and so on. So AI has become very important. Again, nanotechnology has been around as a topic and technology now for quite some time. It was probably talked about too a lot more around perhaps in the mid-90s on, and then not so much, but again now it is being discussed a lot more, and there's a fairly close relationship with nanotechnology and computing and AI, of course. And I'll say more about what nanotechnology is a bit later. Information and communications technology, well, we all know what ICT is, or information technology. It's sometimes called computer science. It's the more scientific part of that area. So those are the main technologies I'll be talking about, but I'll also be mentioning just briefly various medical technologies, medicines and procedures. I won't be saying much about those, just using a few examples there to make some points. Okay, now the purpose of technology. Technologies usually developed to make some aspect of life better. Now, it might be that we develop better weapons, so it's better to kill more people, which overall is a good thing, but the aspect of life that is made better is the people who actually want to attack somebody else. But hopefully most technologies aren't like that. They are designed to make things better. But these things are designed so that you can actually hear them. Medical technologies help to overcome disease. I don't know what the expected life expectancy is in the Philippines now, but when I was growing up in Australia, the life expectancy for a male was about 68 and for a female, I don't know, 72 or 74 or something. And now it's about, or around about 80 for a male and a bit more for a female. So just in, well, actually it's quite a long time. But in my lifetime, life expectancy has increased at least 10 years, probably 12 to 15 years in Australia. And most of that, well, a lot of that is due to medical technologies because cancers were found earlier, there are more medications for heart disease, for strokes and all of these sorts of things. This is a simple one for GPS, geographical positioning systems, make navigation easier. Instead, we don't have to learn to read maps anymore, not to the same extent. So, to that degree, I think it's dumbing down. But they certainly make things easier if you don't know where you're going. If you're driving in a city, you don't know where to go. These things will make life easier. They'll often be depending on where you should be changing lanes. Cars and aeroplanes and things make travelling to a distant destination a lot easier, a lot quicker. So these technologies make activities easier, more efficient, and therefore in various ways improve life. Darryl was talking earlier on about a good life, what helps to make a good life, and obviously peace is one of those things. The technologies basically are designed to help us lead a good life, make collecting food easier, having rest more easily, all these sorts of things. Even in societies that, from the Western point of view, would look as if they're fairly underdeveloped, still have technologies for killing animals, to get food more easily. They have implements for digging, they have ways of growing crops and so on. All of these things make life easier. So when we talk about technology overall, it's not just computers and these sorts of things, and cars and aeroplanes, it's even things like spears and boomerangs and all of those sorts of things. All designed and developed to make life better, to help us lead a good life or a flourishing life. Now, something about technology and peace. And here we start to have some problems. It's not quite so obvious as I thought it might be to talk about technology and peace. Because technologies, as I've said back here, help, basically they help activities. Now they help us do things more easily, or they help to improve our health or something. So technologies help activities, technologies do something, but peace isn't really an activity. So if you come home from somewhere and your parents say, what did you do today? And you say, oh, I was very active being peaceful. I don't think they really know what you were talking about, neither do I. And I'm sure that if you said that, you wouldn't know what you were talking about either. Peace isn't an activity, it's more a state. So how do technologies help peace? If technologies help activities and activities aren't peace, well, what is peace? We've had a few people, a few of the earlier speakers made a few claims or gave us some definitions about what peace is or how it can be described. Now, for my purposes, I just want to say that peace is defined negatively. Peace is the absence of conflict. Well, if I have a peaceful day, it means that, or what I mean is that nothing bothered me, nobody argued with me, or if they did, it was in a nice way. I didn't have any particular problems. It's easier to define peace by what didn't happen than by what did. You define peace by At least one way of looking at this to define it in terms of absence of any sort of conflict, even if we're talking about inner peace. If I feel very peaceful, what does that mean? It means that I tend not to have any stress, I don't have any worries, or if I do, at least I have ways of overcoming them. So it's still to a large extent defined negatively. I'm not saying that nothing positive can be said, but when we're looking at technology and peace, I think it's much more useful to defining things negatively. It's what we have when there isn't conflict or something like that. Now we might think, well, we could say lots of things, or we can compare peace with health, because there's a sense in which both are defined negatively. Because what's health? Health is when I'm not sick, it's when I don't have any disease, it's when I don't have any broken bones, it's when I don't have toothache. It's all of these sorts of things. I mean, we have different degrees of health. Sometimes we feel, we're really happy, we're jumping out of our skin, we run around all day. We don't always feel, when we're healthy, we don't always feel quite like that. But basically, being healthy is having an absence of disease. And what I've said is defining peace is similar, because it's an absence of conflict. So we're defining peace in terms of absence of conflict, we're defining health in terms of absence of disease. We don't have any problems when talking about technologies for health. We all know what technologies for health are, whether it's a pill we take in the morning, an antibiotic, whether it's some sort of operation we have, some sort of implant. We've got various sorts of problems. So why can't we say the same about peace? Well, as I said, we know what technologies for peace, we know what technologies for health are. So technologies that reduce disease, help us get over injuries, and things like that. The technologies for peace, we can have technologies to reduce conflict, but it's not quite so clear what technology for reducing conflict is, as I hope will become obvious as I go through this talk. And I'll mention a few technologies that can reduce conflict, but that may have other problems. So my main argument at this stage, or what I want to point out, is that there's a similarity between peace and health with respect to technology. Both are defined, can be defined negatively, but in the case of health, we can easily pick out what technologies for reducing disease are. We can't quite so easily pick out technologies for reducing conflict. Okay, so a few simple ones there for health. Pacemakers, lots of people around my age have pacemakers. Chemotherapy, we probably all know quite a few people who are having chemotherapy for cancer. Drugs for epilepsy, for depression, and so on. These sorts of drugs seem to be becoming more important as more and more is being found out about mental disease or mental health. But when we get to a situation with peace, it's not quite so obvious what these technologies are. Now we might say, okay, you can have a nuclear weapon and that's going to help peace. Now, in a sense, that's true, but in another sense, I think most of us would be happy if we were in the country. Okay, technologies of peace. Now, what I want to do is suggest that there are 4 groups of technologies. They overlap, but 4 groups of technologies which can assist in peace. You can have technologies that make people more docile, less aggressive. They tend to be medical technologies. There are already ways of treating or affecting the behaviour of children who are aggressive or too aggressive. We can do the same with aggressive prisoners and so on, presumably the same with anyone. So we can have, there are technologies around which make people less likely to fight with each other, basically, less likely to harm. There are technologies that restrict behaviour, and that's particularly important these days. There's a lot of discussion around about technologies for monitoring and surveillance, and I'll get onto that in a minute. They tend to be mainly computing technologies, AI, nanotech to some extent, but mainly, up to now, mainly information technologies, computing technologies, more and more AI, which is also another computing technology. There are technologies that encourage what I call peaceful attitudes, and they again tend to be at this stage mainly ICT, computing and AI. And then technologies which create environments which are more conducive to peace, and that's pretty well all the technologies that we now know. Say a bit about these in turn. The first 2 are probably the most effective, and there's a close connection there between peace and the technologies. In the second 2, the last 2, there is much less of there's a much looser link between the technology and peace. Okay, technologies that directly lead to peace, technologies that make people more docile, less aggressive. Oh, sorry, there are 2 of these, yeah. There's the ones that make people more docile, less aggressive, and those that restrict behaviour through mainly monitoring and surveillance. Okay, technologies for peaceful behaviour, these are the ones that reduce aggression. Technologies, well, there's drugs and neuro procedures to reduce aggression and to, well, make people more docile in a sense, to promote feelings of well-being. You can think screen fetuses for potential aggression and antisocial behaviour. It might be perfect if we can do it. Whether we should do it or not is another matter. What I'm trying to point out at this stage is that there are technologies around for making people compliant with whatever the government or employer or some power wants. Now, I presume in the Philippines there are novels around that sort of point out, well, science fiction novels that point out various scenarios, potential scenarios for the future in English, which some of you may have read. There's well, two that stand out. One is called 1984 by George Orwell. Perhaps I get these mixed up. One's 1984, one is Brave New World, and one is by George Orwell, and one is by Orwell Huxley. But in those, particularly in Brave New World, they talk about a world where it's very peaceful, right? But it's very peaceful because everybody is surveyed all the time. And if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you get punished or banished. Right, so obviously it's very peaceful. So we have technologies like that. They also take a pill called Soma, which if they're feeling a bit down, they take that and then they feel happy. And that's another way of the government controlling them. Right, so there are these technologies around even at the moment that could lead to a very peaceful society. If we had a world government, that could make for a very peaceful world. The downside of it is, well, you probably, or I'm sure there's those already, the downside, loss of autonomy, the individuals can't do, they don't have much control over what they do themselves. There's a docile population. And who would be given these drugs and what are the procedures, and who would make the decisions? So while this sort of peace is possible, I think that's one scenario where we think perhaps peace on its own isn't really worth it. Right? Peace is good, but it's not the only good. To have a peaceful society, we have to lose all autonomy. Be completely docile, give all our power to somebody else. And is that the sort of peace we want? Now, I suspect that for most of us, it doesn't sound like a very good world to live in. So, I think that when we're thinking about technologies for peace, we have to think carefully about what it is we really want. Like, do we want technologies that are sort of going to enforce peace and take away a whole lot of our other liberties and rights and so on? It's not obvious we do. And that's one of the things, I guess, that makes ethics interesting. When you start looking at most issues, you see that things that you really like also have downsides, and it's often a matter of weighing up. But in this case, I think I'd want to argue anyway that using technologies for this sort of peaceful, or to make people behave better, using drugs or neuroseeds or whatever, is a particularly good way to go. Okay, so that's the first one. They'd be effective tools for dictators, obviously. Okay, so that was sort of making people, technologies for making people behave better, like giving them drugs or whatever. But technologies that restrict the potential for conflict. These are the ones I mentioned before about monitoring and surveillance. Currently, there's probably a lot more discussion here in terms of workplaces than governments, so I think that's changing. So computers have been used in the workplace, anywhere have been used for monitoring for a long time. Key trackers, for people to find out keystrokes, your search history, if you use Google or some other search engine. It's not hard for people to find out, people who know what they're doing to find out exactly which websites you've been to and so on. In communication history, if you use social media, or even if you use just old-fashioned things like email, which I do cameras. Okay, we've all got, well, by the look of everybody who wants to take photos here, it looks as if pretty well everybody's got what we call a mobile phones, what we call a cell phone. And anyway, these little things. They've all got cameras in them. Now, they're great things for surveillance. It's much more difficult now to be sure that you were doing something. Sorry, it's much more difficult now to be sure that when you were doing something, nobody is going to find out about it, because you can never be sure that it's taking a photo of it, because, as you know, there are cameras everywhere and they're very little. So while these cameras are good for lots of things, they can make one a little bit uncomfortable. You don't know who's taking photos and for what purpose. Listening devices. All these buildings could easily be made, but anyway, you don't really need, because we've got mobile phones. I don't know whether many of you watch detective shows on telly, and those of you who do wouldn't probably remember back to detective programs of 20 or 30 years ago. But there's a big difference now. Once upon a time, when we looked at a detective show, all the detectives had to follow up all the clues and do all of that sort of thing. What do they do now? They go on to the phone provider and find out what phone calls the person's been making, whether the phone's been on, where the phone has been, because the positions are tracked. So when we use a phone, and everything is switched on, in principle, just about anybody can find out who you've been talking to, where you've been, how long you've been talking, and so on. So these little things you hold in your hand, or that we all hold in our hands, are actually very good surveillance devices. And I often think it would be interesting if somebody like Hitler came back, because they have so much more technology to work with now to keep the population under control. So I expect they'll all be throwing out your mobile phones now. Credit cards. One thing that I try to always avoid doing is not use my credit card when I'm shopping in the supermarket, because I know they keep all that data, they sell it off to other people. So in principle, it can be found out by anybody or any of the agencies who get this information, what I've been buying, when I've been buying, and so on. Profiling. I'll say a bit more about this shortly when we go on to AI, but with the enormous amount of data that's around at the moment, it's possible to build up profiles of individuals, of groups, and so on, so that predictions can be made about what individuals are going through, and what groups are going to do and what individuals are likely to do. And none of these technologies are new in the sense that they're only going to come online in a few years' time. These technologies are all here. The only change, or the main change that there's going to be, is that they're going to get cleverer and more sophisticated. Now these technologies, as I've said, are very good for restricting people's behaviour. But I can still do these things that I think my employer or my government might want. But I have to take the consequences. And even if it's something that I consider quite harmless, if it's something that they don't like, then it's a problem. It's certainly a way of controlling the population. It's a way of creating a more peaceful workplace or country or society. But it also means, again, that I lose a lot of autonomy, I lose a lot of my freedom, I lose a lot of my privacy. So privacy is a big issue. This has been coming up in the literature a lot in recent times. Autonomy, control. And I think the big issue with privacy is not so much what people know about me, it's more what they're going to do with what they know about me. If people don't do anything with the knowledge they have about me, then I don't care whether I've got privacy or not. If they are going to, then that does worry me. Now, in many countries, certainly in Australia, and I imagine here, there's a conflict between what governments talk about in terms of protecting the population on the one hand and invading our privacy or controlling us on the other. So why do governments by and large want a lot of surveillance? Why do they want surveillance cameras all over the place? Why do they want to be able to get information from places like Google and Facebook and so on? It's because, well, they tell us it's so they can catch terrorists or stop terrorism before it happens. Now, in some cases that's probably true. On the other hand, it can also be a very good excuse just for getting more control. But the point is that there are these competing things. On the one hand, we want security, we want peace. On the other hand, we also want a bit of privacy and a bit of autonomy. We don't want to be under somebody else's control all the time. Okay, that's a summary of those two technologies. That is the ones that make people less aggressive through drugs or whatever, and the monitoring and surveillance ones that restrict behaviour. They can be effective, they can be extremely effective, but they tend not to be very attractive. Okay, now moving on to the others. So, previous to, there was a close connection between technology and peace, but there are also serious ethical issues, particularly with respect to privacy and autonomy and control. Now the next two, the connections are much looser, but they're much more attractive technologies, ethically and socially. Okay, technologies that encourage peace. AI, artificial intelligence, communication technologies, which obviously, and obviously computers are a big part of that. So these are the two main ones, either artificial intelligence or communication technology. Now, first of all, AI, you probably all know a bit about it. Some of you do, I think, might be in IT or computer science or something closely related. Artificial intelligence, well, it's a lot of things, but the three that I'll just look at briefly here are autonomous machines, machine learning, and machine translation. All of these have come up in literature in recent times as ways of generating peace. Okay, what are autonomous machines? Machines that can make decisions without human intervention. On driverless cars, I don't know, I wouldn't like to be having driverless cars in Manila, but then I'm not sure I would anywhere. But they are being tested a lot at the moment, certainly at home and in the US. I know some people claim that they're actually safer because they drivers don't go to sleep or lose attention and so on. But anyway, there's a lot of work going on with driverless cars, and this all involves artificial intelligence, as well as very sensitive sensing devices, so that the car can sense other vehicles on the road, can sense the edge of the road, sense trees, pedestrians and so on, so it can make decisions about stopping. One of the interesting things at home is that most of these things initially were developed in the US, where they have animals running across the road, and they worked out ways of the cars avoiding those. But we have animals that hop, kangaroos, and cars, the driverless cars couldn't actually detect the kangaroo properly. So they'll have to work out ways of doing that. But anyway, the driverless cars are a big issue. Autonomous weapons are a more worrying thing, and that's been in the news a lot lately too. Some people think, oh, that'll be great because we won't be sending our soldiers to war, we'll just have all these robots or autonomous weapons running around the place, blowing up buildings and killing people and so on. But then we get interesting questions about what if the autonomous weapon makes a mistake? Are we going to blame somebody? We can't presumably take an autonomous weapon to the Hague to face war crimes. Then we have the issue of who's going to build the algorithms, or what algorithms are going to be built into these weapons. And the reason that AI has made this big difference now is that AI can make decisions based on vast amounts of data, can cope with much more data than humans can. And it's argued by some that therefore machines can make better decisions that are more conducive to peace than humans can. And that by analysing these vast amounts of data, that they'll be able to perhaps find trouble spots or predict trouble spots before trouble occurs, and so on. Okay, so that's what supposedly autonomous machines can do. Machine learning is a technique where a computer can improve on its task without further programming. Now, some people will argue that a computer can't really make decisions. All it can do is what the programmer tells it to do, or what the programmer tells it to do. But that's only true up to a point. If the computer or the system can learn as it's going by analysing the data that's coming in, which then it can generate new rules and so on. It can actually learn and produce results which a program will be able to predict. So it's not true anymore that computers can just do what people tell them to do. It's much more complicated than that. They can find patterns in large data sets, and there are enormous data sets around at the moment because of, partly because of social media, but also because so much information is collected from credit cards, from pretty well everything you do. The computers or the systems will go through these large data sets, find rules, find patterns, find out what sorts of people tend to do things at certain times, and so discover rules, as I said. And one of the ways that it's thought that AI and machine learning can help here is that AI will enhance the analytical capacity or the interview analysing capacity. And these tools, for example, like dynamically analysing social network data or drone imagery in order to recognise potential conflicts early, monitor developments in a conflict context, and assess humans can easily take in the computer systems can, particularly systems that can learn, they can discover rules that a person, a human couldn't discover. And it's argued then that this can be used for making better decisions, for finding problem areas before they become bad problems, and so on. So that's where machine learning comes in. Machine translation. Machines and artificial intelligence can't substitute human beings, but they can provide knowledge, possibilities and support for these processes. This character says, those processes are often about understanding the language, culture and marginalisation. Now, most of us don't know any languages. If we take the case of Trump meeting Putin the other week, they don't speak each other's language, or if they do, they don't get on. So they have translators. And as everybody knows who's got even just a smattering of another language, often concepts in one language can't be clearly or easily translated into concepts in another language. It's easy to misunderstand people. And that's one source of conflict. Now, one simple case that I find when I'm in Europe is that often when you're saying something to a German or a Dutch person, they'll say, of course, as if they think, well, that's a silly thing to say, it's obvious. Of course that's the case. It can sound marginally offensive to an English speaker from Australia because we don't use of course like that. But in German, the word "natürlich," which is sort of translated as of course, doesn't have that overtone at all. So they certainly don't mean it that way. And that's a trivial case. But there are lots of cases, as we all know, where conflicts can arise because we don't understand each other particularly well if we're talking cross languages or cross cultures. And machines are getting quite good at translating now, so it's argued that that could be one way to help communication and encourage peace. With the help of machines, cultural barriers that hamper mutual understanding could be significantly diminished, it's claimed. The machine translation, this person thinks that machine translation believes that translation technology could drastically reduce language-related discrimination. Language technology is essential new concept that concentrates on communication and understanding. The latest developments in language technology with deep learning is a backbone of the new possibilities for natural language processing with better abstractions and come closer to real understanding. So these are quotes from people who really think that machine translation can help peace by encouraging mutual understanding between cultures and between different cultures and different languages. Okay, so there we had, the three things I looked at just briefly in AI were autonomous machines, machine learning and machine translation, and all of those, it's been argued, can be used for making the world or a country a more peaceful place. Now, what are some of the ethical implications here? The applications used for peace are good, obviously, but there are general worries about developments in AI, and there's been quite a lot of that in the press. Will intelligent machines become a threat to humans? Right, regardless of how much they might be able to be used in the service of peace, what if they become a threat to humans in other ways? Do we want machines making decisions for us? I'm not saying we don't. I'm asking the question, I'm trying to get you to think, do you want machines to make decisions for you? Suppose that you have some minor traffic, you picked up with some minor traffic offence, and instead of having a judge or magistrate, you just have a robot or a computer system there that makes a decision. We all like to have somebody to blame when something goes wrong, but who do we blame if it's a machine? Not so obvious. So there are these issues in AI, while they might, while AI might have some positives to peace, there are certainly downsides. Stephen Hawking, who died just recently, Elon Musk and others, raised concerns about the dangers with the rise of robots. They published a fairly influential letter signed by quite a lot of scientists. I can't remember if it was from 2016 or 2017. A lot of other people, of course, in AI thought that still think that there's nothing to worry about. But these people did what happens if robots take all their jobs. Well, they won't take all their jobs, but if they take a lot of jobs, what if they start doing dangerous things to people? These are all things that we need to think about. Communication technologies, that's all I'll say about AI for the moment. Social media, mobile or cell phones. The increasing rapid global interconnectivity and growing access to mobile devices globally. If things could lead to a more peaceful world, and you said that the United Nations has developed or has a program now looking at using communication technologies for peace. Rather than specific business ideas of online commerce workshop, this is about a workshop held in Basel in Switzerland. Workshop participants thought the general model of online-based virtual platforms was promising in the context of peace building, because you get people all around the world on these virtual platforms talking to each other and hopefully gaining a better understanding of each other. Hopefully creating trust between individuals in different geographic locations, because these virtual platforms do seem to create some sort of trust between buyers and sellers. People go online now to buy all sorts of things, even though we can't see the product, often we can't see who we're buying from. Now, if we could develop that trust between people on these virtual platforms, so much the better. And it's argued that this can be done. Now, I won't say too much more about communications because I think one or two other speakers are going to talk about that as well. But just on the other side here, certainly we've got all of this online communication. But cyber war's a big issue, which wouldn't be an issue if we didn't have it, right? Because it's based on all of this technology. Another thing that counts against the idea of people understanding each other better if they're online, or that it's got this possibility, is a problem that people have been raising now for quite a long time, that online you can choose who you talk to. But if you live in a village, if you live in a town, in a community, chances are you'll come across, or I'll come across, all sorts of people who have very different views from me. But because we live in a community, we have to get on with them, and usually we find out that people we disagree with are actually quite nice people. It's just that there are some aspects about life with which we disagree. If you're online, it's very easy to have your news tailored to just what you want, to only talk with like-minded people, so there is a real possibility that it actually makes people, helps people to, makes it easier for people not actually to have anything much to do with people that with whom they disagree. There are also privacy worries, and the big one there was the Cambridge Analytica example where they, I can't remember how many records or files, I think it was 500 million or something. So there are big privacy issues concerning online communications or digital communications as well. So while it does have potential for peace building, it also has probably equal potential for doing nasty things. So in summary, the technologies that encourage peace, dual use, which I didn't mention, but it's really just that the technology can be used for good or ill. What the important issue really is how the technology is used. So in a sense, these technologies that encourage peace are, in a sense, irrelevant to peace in themselves, because it's how they are used that is the big issue. The first two that I mentioned for getting rid of aggression and monitoring and surveillance, there the technologies do or can bring about peace, but at a fairly high cost of privacy and autonomy. Here, they can bring about peace in a much better way, but it all depends on how they use. So if people want to do nasty things with them, they're not going to have any beneficial effects on peace. The final one that I want to look at is technology that create environments conducive to peace. And really, here, I don't know whether many of you have done work on technologies and development or development ethics. The technologies that are mentioned as serving for peace by creating environments conducive to peace are really much the same technologies that people think should be used for developing underdeveloped areas. Again, AI and ICT and nanotech are all important. Others are important as well, but those are the two. Those are the ones that I am most interested in for this talk. And just for the moment now, I'm going to say a bit more about nanotechnology, because I talked a bit about the other two already. Well, what is nanotech? Nanotechnology is the manipulation of matter at the molecular level. Normally it's talked about as less than 100 nanometers. A nanometer is 10 to the minus 9, which is billion per litre. Comparison to human hair is 75,000 nanometers roughly. So 1 nanometer is pretty small. If you can pull out one of your hairs and split it lengthways that many times, you'll have a nanometer. Now, why does this matter? Why is it important? It's important because materials, some have different properties at this size. We're getting down into the quantum world. And new products can be developed partly because of size, partly because of new just because things can be miniaturised to such a great extent. Very small products can be developed. One reason why we have such enormous capacities in our computer memories now is because of the nanotechnology. I mean, it's not really all that long ago, well, it's not in my life, it probably isn't yours, when I think it was Bill Gates who said, why would anybody want a computer with more than 256K? Now you wouldn't even be able to load Windows on a machine with 256K, let alone doing it. That was considered quite a lot of memory once. So this nanotech has brought about developments in a few areas. You have materials with new properties that can be light or strong, and new products can be developed. Very small products can be developed. And just recently, I can't remember now whether it was the 2016 Nobel Prize in Chemistry went to 3 people who developed a molecular machine or a molecular engine. That was, I can't remember the exact size, but it was in that range that I mentioned before, under 100 nanometers. And, well, yeah, 1,000 times thinner than a strand of hair. And this is a machine that can actually do things. But what they said, well, they said the impact, and this was part of the statement about, I think, by the Nobel Prize Committee, that the influence of these machines down the track could be as big as a microchip, which was developed back in the 60s. But the developers said that at this stage they really have almost no idea what this could be used for. They think it's going to be dramatic, but they don't know what. And they use the analogy of the electric motor that was developed in the 1830s. Now almost every machine we have has an electric motor in it. Washing machines and all sorts of things. We couldn't imagine life without electric motors. But back in the 1830s, there was no concept about what these things would be used for, at least not in the ways that have been used now. They're saying the same thing now about these molecular machines. Now you might think, well, that's fair enough. And in a sense it is fair enough, but then we start to think, well, what are these things going to be used for? What's the potential? Is it actually going to help us make life better? Is it going to help us or help in more conducive peace? Now, nanotechnology in particular, as well as those other two I mentioned, IoT and AI, could certainly do a lot of good things for not only developing countries, but also in developed countries where there are environmental problems and all sorts of other problems. For example, purifying water, better medicine, better focused medicine. So instead of having chemotherapy where a whole lot of you is bombarded by electrons or whatever, it can be targeted with just the cancerous cells. Agriculture, precision agriculture, you can have agriculture that uses less resources, perhaps uses less water, less fertiliser and so on, which is all good energy, clean energy, which is one of the biggest issues in the world at the moment. Having more effective solar panels is a big one, certainly at home where we have a lot of sunlight. Creating devices which don't use anywhere near as much energy. These are all things where nanotech and other other technologies can help, and it's all good. And it's thought that nanotechnology will be good for developing countries, and I think it certainly has the potential for that, and perhaps has been used in that way already. But there are some ethical concerns here too. Philosophers tend to be professional warriors, which probably annoys some people, but it's sort of what we're paid to do. One of the problems with nanotechnology, or one of the main problems over the years, has probably been concerns about nanoparticles, which are very little, obviously, because not much was known about what they could do. They're probably finding out more now. But what happens when a nanoparticle is in the body? Could it get into the brain? Could it do any harm that goes to parts of the body as it's supposed to? And so what happens when it gets into the ground, into our vegetables, into our animals and so on? These are unknowns, or until recently were pretty unknown. I don't think there's a lot known just yet. Miniaturisation of sensing devices. I mentioned before about all these devices we have now. And the smaller sensing devices can get the more worrying things like surveillance and monitoring, because it can be harder and harder to detect whether we are being monitored or under surveillance. Another problem with nanotech is that the benefits may mainly go to developed countries where people have patented all these new technologies, new techniques and so on. So unless we can make certain that developing countries can actually produce their own, a lot of these things may be too expensive for the developing countries. One of the examples, this isn't a nanotech one, but it's a medical one. I'm not sure whether this still is the case. It had been the case that they had this rule of thumb that Darryl probably knows that I don't know, for every $100 that's spent on medical research, only $10 is spent on research for diseases in developing countries, or something like that anyway. So developers are going to always, in developed countries, make things for which they can make a profit, and they'll make a profit mostly from things for developed countries. So the benefits might go. Oops. Okay, looks like there was a few more things that were supposed to go in there. So, in summary of the technologies that indirectly meet peace is that they're good, and we should be doing more to create these technologies, but more importantly, we use them in ways that actually generate peace. If we're going to have technologies that help the developing world, then we should make sure they're used in that way. And in AI, we should make sure that the technologies that develop aren't used for only used for creating better weapons, but more importantly used for ways of creating peace. So, my conclusion there is that yes, technologies can help in peace, make a peaceful world, and so a lot of these technologies good technologies, not just used for making a more docile population or monitoring and surveilling people so that we can be predicted that they can create a better world. But the technologies themselves aren't going to create a better world, because each technology can be equally used for harmful purposes as good purposes. So the big issue in technology for peace is the way technologies are being used, and of course that's to do with human beings, not to do with technology itself. Okay, thanks. So, any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Weckert. From this point forward, I will be taking over the hosting duty since Dr. Rivero has to leave for an equally important engagement. Dr. Weckert is, I think, willing to entertain some questions before we move on to our next topic. We have Prof. Sherry, who will be our moderator for questions and answers. Anyone to ask questions?
It seems here very much one of our
Thank you, John. So I'd like to ask you, was the invention of the knife for a good invention? The knife.
Well, yeah. I know the sort of issues you might. Oh, sorry, I forgot. The invention of the knife was obviously a good invention. Okay, it's been used for some nasty things, which really gets to my main point, I think, with respect to technology and peace, that in a sense the technology is neutral. Not completely, but it can be used for good, it can be used for evil. And knives are obviously very good for cutting up our food and getting more food and stuff. We can do nasty things with knives. But I think, if I had to draw the distinction between a gun and a knife, I think that the knife is a much better invention than the gun. Right? It's very easy to use a gun to do nasty things. You can kill people at a distance, you can kill lots of people. Right? I think a gun really is a device for a win. Who wants to kill somebody but who doesn't want to get too close to them. Right? With a knife, unless you're good at throwing, you would actually have to be very close to the person that you want to attack. So I think from that point of view, a knife, clearly a knife is nowhere near as dangerous as a gun. Now, okay, guns have got great utility and talking to get food and protect you in certain situations. But the potential for ill is much greater than a knife. And I suspect that the potential for good is no greater than a knife.
So what's been the greatest invention of technology for peace so far?
I think that the first or the second thing I talked about is technologies for monitoring and surveillance, and they can create a very peaceful society because everybody's too scared to do anything. So you can have peace as long as you're willing to put up with people at the top doing nasty things. But the group as a whole, if you had a real government, you could have a very peaceful world. We have to sacrifice so much. That's where that's why I don't think that is very good. I think, obviously. I think the best technologies for peace would be the same technologies that could help the developing world. Now, one argument for using technology there is that if everybody is leading a fairly prosperous life, there'll be less incentive for war. But unfortunately, I'm not sure that's true either, because affluent countries have been fighting each other for centuries. So I'm not sure that there's any... I'm a bit of a skeptic when it comes to technologies as such being good for peace. It's definitely a matter of how they use, not the technology.
Thank you.
So we have 3 questions, one from here, the other from the second table, and last from the
Good day, sir. So, have you heard about the IBM Watson?
Sorry?
Have you heard about the IBM Watson?
Yeah.
Supercomputer. So my question is, how does IBM Watson work in supporting peace?
How could Watson help peace? Look, in principle, if machines like Watson were used properly and only by people with peaceful intentions, perhaps they could give all sorts of advice on living peacefully and something people hadn't thought of because they didn't have access to the broader range, such a wide range of data. So I think it's possible that machines like that could be used for peaceful purposes. They might be able to make decisions that are better than decisions that humans make. Whether they are is another matter. And one of the things too, I said before that you can't predict it. If machines can learn, you can't predict exactly what the output's going to be because they can change on the way through. But there will still almost certainly be biases built into them when programmers are developing the algorithms and so on. So if you're developing algorithms from, say, a typical Western perspective, you'll probably sort of have values embedded in it that might favour one group of people over another, even if it wasn't a conscious bias on your part. So that sort of thing is actually coming up in the literature quite a bit now about the issue of building biases into intelligent machines that make decisions. And one of the cases that's come up quite a lot is not anything quite as clever as Watson, but driverless cars. Now, if you're in a car driving along, you've got your family in the car, and somebody crosses the road. The only way that you can avoid them is by swerving, in which case there's a good chance you'll kill yourself and your family. I mean, what will you do? Now, most of us, I presume, would prefer to kill a stranger than our family. I mean, that's not a nice thing to say, but that's probably what we would do in the heat of the moment in most cases. But when you build in something like that sort of decision into a car, it doesn't actually sound so nice, does it? It's something you do have to weigh up. What sort of decisions will driverless cars make? If they have to make a decision between the life of one person and the life of another person, there'll have to be some sort of bias built in. Either that or it's just random. So one time it saves the driver and the family on the other, and the other time it goes the other way. But obviously, in cases where decisions have to be made, at least in lots of cases, there will be biases built in. So I imagine that in a system like Watson, or were used to make decisions about war and peace, that there would be biases built into it like that as well. So it would depend on what those biases are. So again, it all comes back to people.
Next question, please, sir.
We know that nuclear bombs is very destructive and destructive technology ever made. And my question is, if technology is as disadvantage, why it is still using by men?
Sorry, if you just say that again, I missed.
If technology has disadvantages, why is it still using by men?
Why is it still using?
Used by men.
Used by men.
Sorry,
Used by people.
If it's
why is it still used by people?
why do we
Because it makes things easier, I think. A lot of the time, we do things not because I think we have made any conscious decision about them making our lives better, but simply because we're able. We use them because it's simpler. I actually quite hate GPS systems because when I used to read a map, I used to get some satisfaction out of getting to the place I was trying to find because it took some intelligence. Now you can be a complete idiot and get to where you want to go. It doesn't take any thought. But it's easier, so I do it. And I think there are lots of things like that. It's like if you're in a foreign country and you really want to practice, German or Spanish or whatever the language is, but you find out that nearly everybody speaks English, you use English simply because it's easier, even though you didn't really want to, because you'd rather practice your other language. But I think it's largely just because most of the time we want to do the easier thing.
Sir, any other questions?
This is my question. Is it true that the first world countries are using technology to monitor and do surveillance of the third world countries?
Look, I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me. We're doing it to our own countries to a large extent as well. And I'd be surprised if it weren't happening to some extent, but I have no figures or anything on that. But given the amount of spying and so on that goes on, and all the satellites that are flying around up there taking photos of everything, it would be surprising if it weren't happening here.
It is true.
My question is something about the weather. In that, can you indulge my curiosity? How near the truth are the technologies that we see on movies like into earthquakes and verifying inventions which can change and change the weather? Geostorm, like geostorm.
Yeah, look, I don't know how true. If you look at, well, in general, there are two ways of looking at technology, and it all depends on what side you're on. If you're a technologist, you'll say there's nothing to worry about, and I've read a lot of stuff like that. And I say, look, you know, we don't know what the consequences are, but it's not going to happen for a long time. There's nothing to worry about. Forget about it, because it's all good. We love technology. And on the other hand, you get people who sort of worry about everything and sort of don't want a lot of technologies to be developed. And I guess I lean a bit towards that, although it doesn't actually affect me much anymore, it will affect my grandchildren. And yeah, so we have these two scenarios. There's people who are developing technology is good fun. Right? Even just writing computer programs is good fun. Because you're making something that does something. But that's not the only thing we should be looking at. There's been some literature around lately too on places like Harvard and MIT and whatnot in the US, putting more emphasis now on ethics in their computer science courses, because more people are worried about or starting to be worried about the implications of some of these things with respect to weather. In particular, I know that at home we have cloud seeding because our country's fairly dry, so they try and seed clouds so that we get a bit more rain. But then you get fights between people who say, okay, it's raining more on your side of the mountains than it's raining less on ours. So I think doing anything to control weather is really quite dangerous.
Sir, how many people are you in your group? Are there many scientists who think the way you do?
Well, not as many as I would wish, but there are, I think, probably a growing number. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Questions, those who would like to ask questions, this survey would like to participate. Very important.
So my question is this. With the advancements of technology, don't you think that it's somehow a threat to manpower in industries, like companies or factories opted to buy machines for production rather than hiring human laborers?
Yeah, that's been an issue that's been discussed a lot in recent times. A lot of people will argue that new technologies aren't going to reduce the number of jobs, but then a lot of people are arguing that they are. They're certainly going to change the nature of work a lot for a lot of people. So a lot of jobs will disappear. And there are even some people saying now that there should be sort of a basic income for everybody, because in the future not everybody's going to be able to get a job because so much work's been done by machines. But another aspect of that is not only that people can lose their livelihood, but also, certainly in the Western world and the developed world in particular, people are largely, well, we are identified by our jobs to a large extent. If people are unemployed, they're sort of a nobody in society, and I think that's equally as bad as not having any money. And so there are a few aspects to this, and that's actually the point you raised was a big point raised by Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk and those other scientists who wrote that letter the other year that robots could take away too many jobs and cause a big problem.
Thank you, sir. Last question, please.
Hello. Good afternoon, Dr. Weckert. I I would like to ask your opinion about the emerging blockchain technology, which are used like in cryptocurrency applications. So, what is the ethics behind it, and what do you think are the implications or impact on it in peace?
Yeah, look, I was thinking about that a bit. I couldn't really think of many implications of peace. I think that regardless of how secure people say that some technology is, that some digital technology is, I think that, I'm sceptical about how secure any of these things are, and I guess that blockchain would be, I'd have the same worries there. Okay, it might look secure now, but there's always going to be some clever person who works out how to do something with it. Yeah.
Thank you. To award